Welcome to Womanhood, Episode 1, MS and Gender. 3 women are diagnosed with MS for every 1 man, and that gap is growing. Should gender be consideration in MS care? Hey everyone, and welcome to Womanhood. I'm Roxy Murray. I am 35 and I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting MS in 2014. However, I was living with it since the age of 18. I go by the multiple sclerosis fashionista, and to my right we have Evie.
Hi, I'm Evie. I am 30. I was diagnosed with MS in 2009 when I was 16, but again, like most people, I had it longer and have probably had MS since childhood.
I'm Emma and I am 33. I was diagnosed with MS in May 2019 after being misdiagnosed with something called transverse myelitis, which I think is very common. And this is
Shereena. Hi. I'm 31 and I was diagnosed in 2009. I was in college, but I had nothing until about 2018. I go by Rena right now on social media, and this is...
Hi, I'm Katt. I'm 34. I was diagnosed in 2019, but I've had MS since I was 16, and I'm Deadlift Survey on Instagram.
And the topic we're discussing today is gender and MS. There are approximately 3 women diagnosed with MS for every 1 man. What impact do you think this ratio should have on how MS is treated?
I think they should put a lot more focus on how women are affected by MS, because the research I've done is very general and there's a lot of scientific evidence and medical evidence which is just from a male's point of view. I do find that a lot. So I just find sometimes it can be quite lacking in information specifically for women.
I just feel like everything's very general.
Yeah.
As you said, it's just really general. I don't think it's particularly to a woman or to a man, because like MS, we're all so different. And I feel like the information needs to be different and it needs to be specialised. And I think that's where MS nurses and neurologists come into it.
Okay, so you feel like there should be like more MS-specific topics based on what womanity is.
Yeah,
so that
I think
we can
so.
tackle the issues.
But I think that's down to
hormones.
the MS nurses and the neurologists to do. I don't think that's down to the wider charities or the internet to do. I think that's personal. I don't think it should just be out there. I think people should see us for what we think we might be tackling.
How about you, Katt?
I was just going to say, it's just interesting that there's more women that are diagnosed with MS, yet all of the males I know have had a quicker diagnosis. And actually, us women are listened to less than the men are, when actually there's more of us living with MS. That's just a thought I just had.
Sexism in the medical.
Though, isn't it?
It's
Just general,
isn't it? It's like, oh, women, you're so dramatic, and maybe you're just making this up, or maybe
just deal with it.
that symptom isn't really what you think
They're
it is.
blaming on
I think
something
that's
else.
probably
It's
why
just
that happens.
hormones.
Anything else?
There's definitely still a hang up from like back in the day when women were just told like
Hysteria.
ridiculous
We're
things.
hysterical.
Yeah.
But actually listening to us and actually our lived experience as well, because we were talking about this, weren't we? Like, all of our MS is so different, yet sort of healthcare professionals will blanket things. And then you'll be like, I'm experiencing this. And they're like, no, you're not. And it's like, but I am.
don't know.
So,
or they'll say, just see how it goes. But you don't always have the luxury of time to see how things go, because you're the one that's living with it. And say if you're numb from the waist down, you don't want to see how things go. You need to know what's going on, because you have a life to live. And seeing how things go in 6 months' time, what does that mean for you? How can they leave you with that on your mind, on your plate, mentally? How can they leave you with just seeing how it goes, when really you as a person inside are so scared or worried, looking for answers? You know, that you have to take a lot of responsibility yourself, because you can't really rely on anyone to do it for you. That's what I found out, definitely.
I would be interested to know, just listening to you talk, like the difference. We know there's a difference between women get misdiagnosed more often than men, even though more women have MS. I wonder if there's a difference between how men and women are treated when they actually have MS.
I have a female friends with MS, and I can't speak for every single man, but like actually they've had a more comfortable ride with their diagnosis, and it's actually been shorter. And I'm not saying that like every single man, but actually the people that I've come across that has been the case. It shouldn't be like that.
But there is, like, we can't help the fact that there is more for women to deal with. There's more going on in our bodies. But the problem is medical research has never bothered to look into that. So it's like the male body has always been the standard, and then that is then applied to women.
Which are, in a lot of ways, polar opposites.
Yeah.
We don't run the same.
Yeah.
We do not run the same at all.
Well, that brings us nicely into the next question. So, feeling like that and thinking about what we've just spoken about, do you feel awkward bringing up specific concerns with healthcare professionals?
Yes.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I will literally just go in and say, I generally do my research before. Like I use, like, at the start of my MS journey, I was very reserved and quiet. I'm quite introverted. Autistic, so I don't really kind of like speak up about things, but now I know that if I don't say what I want and what I need, I'm not going to get it. And actually sometimes you have to push for that, and having the guts to do that is difficult when you're not used to being that kind of person. But it's your health at the end of the day, and you've got to look after yourself, and that's where I'm at with my journey with it all.
Yeah, you have to be your own advocate.
Yeah.
And you have to, because I'm not a pushy person either. I'm like, okay, and I was like that. And then I just thought, no, because you can't seem to give me an MRI that I need, because stop giving me an MRI for my brain when all of my lesions are on my spinal cord. I'm relapsing. You keep getting it wrong. You're wasting my time. I've got, it takes me an hour to get to hospital. I'm sick of it. And so I just said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And actually, I think I have a better relationship with my neurologist now, because he knows I can't be fobbed off, because I will send emails and I will call. And I don't want to be like that, but you have to be your own advocate. And my health is very serious to me. And I'm going to take it seriously. I'm not going to just allow them to say, okay, just wait or just see. No.
My vibe at the moment is I'm the main character, and actually,
That's it.
like,
Yeah,
I
that's
need
so
to. You have the right to fight for your own healthcare and your health, and you're important. Like,
absolutely,
so important, and you're allowed to voice that. And it means that you have to ring your MS nurses and leave a message on the answer machine every single day until they get back to you, and go around the MS nurses and go directly to your neurologist secretary, then I will do it. Like, and I will get that appointment. And I did that, and I did get the appointment, and I needed that appointment. And
exactly,
you've got to ask for what you want and what you need, because you deserve to.
I feel like it's a different scenario for me. I don't feel comfortable speaking to my MS nurses and my neurologists about anything, because I don't think they listen to me. And I think that for me, I don't know if it's in my head or if it's actually society or if it's real. I have no idea. But it feels like I've been made out to be a dramatic woman. And so anything that I come to them with, it's never really taken seriously enough to actually anything be done about it. So I just keep my mouth shut and do my own research and do everything in that way, because I feel like I know what they're going to say.
I relate to that. And I also think like the extra level of being brown as well. There's like a whole stigma when you're talking to them. I used to be in your position where I wouldn't, because I felt like I wasn't being listened to, hence why my diagnosis was delayed. But then I flipped on the script and I was like, I'm going to start making you feel awkward as a health professional. I'm going to ask you about the wildest questions. Because I want you to now use your knowledge. You basically apparently studied for all these years to help neurology and help you with MS, and you're meant to be a specialist, specifically neurology. And I'm going to ask you about my sex life. I'm going to ask you why my bladder's gone weird. I'm going to ask you what you think I should do. And then every time they say no, another MS person told me, note it in your notes. Tell them, if you say no, you can't have the MRI of my spine, please write that in my notes. So when everything goes, completely upside down.
I need to learn from you. I'm so bad at it, and I still feel awkward. It's certain things, like going back to, bringing up things that you might feel more awkward, like sex. When I have mentioned things like that to my nurse, I feel like it's very dismissive, because it's not seen as the most important thing. In someone's life, and it doesn't feel like
it's such a massive part
it's
of it.
serotonin. It's my favorite thing.
And so she was just kind of dismissive about it, and so since then I've not felt comfortable being able to bring up like my sex, like how MS impacts those type of things.
The NHS from inside out have to change basically the people that we speak to. I get it's awkward if you've got like 40 people come to your house who's like, tell me about my sex life, but they need to learn that that's part of their job.
Absolutely.
Your sex life is part of your pleasure.
the more pleasure you have, the better you feel, the better your MS feels. I know when everyone feels a good day and you smile and stuff, you feel kind of way better.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of your journey.
Yeah, it's your mental well-being, and also it has MS implications as well, because if you're, I don't know, I'm going to use my own experience. If you have reduced sensation in certain areas, if you have these physical symptoms, that's a sign as well that there's something going on that can also impact your bladder, your bowels, other areas in your body. This can be a sign that your MS is progressing. Like, it shouldn't be something that's just kind of written off and dismissed as something that's not important, because it can also highlight and have implications for other parts of like your MS progressing.
No, I absolutely agree. And this leads on to what you've just said, which is, do you feel listened to when you talk to your MS healthcare professional about women's health issues, i.e. menstruation, contraception, sex, pregnancy, or even menopause?
Absolutely not. No. I think my journey is so different that I did not react to any DMTs at all.
Same.
So I went the HSCT route. And so now I've got all these other issues to kind of think about and to really acknowledge. I was told that I may not be able to have children. So fertility is like a massive thing that they should really talk to me about, and they haven't. So it's something, again, I've got to figure out on my own. And everything I have to just figure out on my own and deal with. And these things they're not easy. So as women, we should be able to have children and do it in a way that you feel comfortable. And if no one's talking, how do you do that?
Yeah, there's no holistic kind of like approach from anyone. You have to piece it all together yourself. So like things like my contraception, I go to my GP and talk about that, and there's no crossover. Yes, they've asked about it, but recently I started a new painkiller. And if it wasn't for one of my friends on Instagram telling me that painkiller can affect how your contraception works, I would never have known that. I'm also on a DMT that I absolutely cannot get pregnant on.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that not, why did I not get told that?
I have not been on contraception for absolutely ages. And then I was doing some reading about something else, like another side effect. And it was like, you absolutely have got to be on a form of contraception. I was like, oh my God, I've never been told that. Like, I was very careful, luckily. But I was like, okay, I better sort that out. But I hadn't been spoken to about it. And I was like, it makes sense. And I would always, be careful and stuff. But that has not come from the horse's mouth. No one said, if you're doing this, you have to do this first.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, when I read, I was like, oh my God.
See, I've got the opposite problem because I'm queer, and ultimately, like, I'm not really willing to have kids, and contraception's a weird one. I've never really taken it. Are you on contraception? I'm like, no, I'm gay. And they're like, yeah, but are you going to get pregnant? And I'm like, I'm literally like,
listen to me.
I'm trying to tell you that this is not happening. Like, leave me alone.
Not listening to the first bit of what you're saying.
Which is wild, because I'm thinking you're not even being asked, and I'm being like literally getting it nailed and drummed into my head that I cannot. And I'm just like, look, it's not going to happen. Just chill, like. And it's like, why don't they note that down? And they should ask these questions, because like you said, like, you go into this scenario where like you're taking all these drugs and stuff. Some people might not want to have kids, so you should note that down. Ask the question. Might not be able to even before MS. And going in there every time to get a new drug or change your drug or a new nurse starts or something like that, and constantly being asked that question is an emotional situation for a lot of people.
Yeah, to have to keep reiterating.
And also, not all women, depending on, if they were cisgendered women, that's not even a thing that's even in their universe. Conversations, I think. Absolutely. And open up those conversations to ask women what it is that their journey looks like from now for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of things can be missed because of that. Yeah. Because they're just waiting for the answer from you that they need to hear, and anything else sort of falls by the wayside.
Yeah. I feel lucky to know neurologists. I'd say, like, go and find some neurologists just to listen to what they say, because it's helpful when you speak to yours. Even like, well, actually, I've heard 3 other neurologists say this, so what's your deal? Yeah,
and I think having the courage to say, I'm not seeing that neurologist again. Yeah. And I did that because I had one neurologist and he was so dreadful and he was so rude, and he was arguing with me about my MS, what DMT I wanted. I found myself, like, I was with my mum and she was like, Emma, you're going white knuckled. I was like, I'm going to headbutt him. He's driving me mad. Why is he not listening to me? And so I said, look, I'm not ever going to see him again. I'm not having it. And now I've got a neurologist who is a man, but he is more gentle, and I feel like he does listen to me more. But like, it's about having, I guess, the confidence to be like, no, like no means
But I feel
no.
like
I'm not
people
doing
don't
it.
even know how. Like, if you've got a rubbish neurologist or MS nurse, how do you even go about changing them? I have no idea, because I would do
The
it.
NHS, like, are you even allowed?
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
Pals. There's
Pals, that's it.
inside your hospital. You can go and you can make.
There's
I
a
read
thing called right to choose as well, isn't there? Like right to choose, it means that you can actually choose which healthcare. I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that you can find say you found a neurologist somewhere, you could then be like, right, I would like to. Somehow that works. I haven't done it myself, but I do know
We'll
that
be
it
Googling
is a
after.
thing. Yeah.
MS and gender recap. You are the main character. Be your own advocate. Ask your healthcare professional to write specific points in your notes. There is often no holistic approach from caregivers. Do your own research to help you join the dots and feel confident to challenge when needed. You have the right to change your healthcare provider. These relationships are built on trust, and while changing should be a last resort, it is your right to do so.